Welcome. Today is Wednesday, May 27th, and I have the pleasure of having Jason Scott, Vice President for Roar Digital, BetMGM, with us. Welcome, Jason.
Welcome, Howard. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Thanks for joining me, and I really appreciate you taking the time, given that we're getting closer to reopenings.
Well, it's exciting, isn't it, to have a little bit of sport back on the calendar last week. The casino's opening next week in Vegas. Can't wait.
Oh, so exciting. And it's great to have a new face on the scene. I've done several of these interviews with some of the usual Las Vegas bookmaking names, and I love all those people dearly, but it's great to have some fresh blood. So you're from Australia. Give us a little glimpse into your career journey up till now.
Yes, I've been in the wagering game for 20 years, probably the first 10 years more on the horse racing side. I was initially working for one of the biggest syndicates in Australia, moved into sports betting in 2012, was working for a small company that was bought out by the world famous Ladbrokes 2013, where I was the trading director. Stayed there for another 4 years, and I took over as CEO of Ladbrokes Australia in 2017, to where I stayed until I arrived here in November this year, working for MGM, who are owned by BetMGM, who are owned by GVC, who also own Ladbrokes Australia. So just a slight move with the same company in a lot of ways.
Understand. And how many folks make up your trading team over there in Jersey City?
We've got a really interesting setup here where we have a bit of a reliance on our home GVC is the international business, so we sort of lean upon those a little bit. We also have the trading hub out of the Raj with Jeff Stoneback and his crew. We've got about a dozen in Jersey City, 6 or 7 in Nevada, and then around the world helping us with some of the other sports. So we run 24/7.
Sure. And it's obviously important to leverage the MGM brand name to try and get new customers. Has this big pause hurt that effort?
Look, I think it's certainly slowed it down, but what I think it's done for a business, we're about 12, 18 months in, although I only joined in December. The BetMGM brand, I think it's given us a great opportunity to pause, reset, pivot in a couple of directions, and let us really understand our business and make some changes. So it probably couldn't have happened at a better time.
Great. And I know you can't speak to specific deals in the works, but I imagine your team is quite aggressive in looking for deals in new jurisdictions.
100%. Yeah. I mean, we started in Indiana a couple of weeks prior to COVID starting. We started in Colorado 1st of May. There's other on the agenda yet. I know for a fact that our marketing team has a couple of really interesting deals happening in both those states.
Yeah. And, quite honestly, and everybody knows this, it's no secret, what's the challenge of meeting the competition, especially those two companies that have fantasy sports databases?
That's one of the hardest things for me coming from a different jurisdiction is understanding the KYC process in America. And it's not a simple task for all the customers to pass through. The fact that they've already got credit cards online, they've got databases for which they can market. The FanDuel and DraftKings have, without a doubt, they've got an advantage. But we've got something they haven't got, which is the backing of MGM. Some of the loyalty programs that we're in the process of building, where we can lean on and work with MGM and offer experiences that only they can. So, although we've been a little bit slower to start than these big companies, I think with the might of GVC's bookmaking behind us and the MGM brand in America and what they can offer, I suspect we'll be the big movers in this category in the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting, especially if you go on Twitter where there's a lot of experts. It's interesting to see the dichotomy between the U.S. players and the people from the outside.
Without a doubt. But in saying that, we need to make sure that we've got a US focused mindset. We can't bring to what I know worked in Australia and what GVC have done in Europe. We need to make sure that we're providing product, providing setup, providing front end that appeals to our American customers.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a delicate balancing act, without a doubt.
Oh, for sure. And the public is so well versed, given the internet. I mean, everybody's very well educated on what's going on.
Without a doubt. And look, we've still probably the biggest challenge for us in terms of competitiveness isn't FanDuel and DraftKings, because we're all playing the same rules as them. We've got regulators. You go to Twitter and it's full of our friends from offshore that may not be working under the same premise that we are. They can offer different markets at different times without the regulation. So there's still a big challenge for us to overcome.
You mean they would do that?
It's hard to imagine, isn't it?
For sure.
I keep waiting for some of our regulators and to go through Twitter and our other controls to see if we might be able to make some change and close a few options down.
We'll see. We'll see. Hey,
URLs.
So I know you've only been in the U.S. a short time. In Nevada, the sports books were traditionally an amenity. They were used to drive traffic into the buildings. Apps came along and people adapted them some, but apparently that may change soon. And we may go here in Nevada to what other markets are doing, where you don't actually have to show up and fund an account. You can do everything on a card from home. Being that Las Vegas is such a unique destination, how do you feel about all that?
It's probably difficult for me to say because I haven't been immersed in the tradition of how Las Vegas has always operated. For somebody, although I see myself running a trading department, the customer experience is probably number one in my mind, probably in front of lines and money lines and odds. So I think anything that makes it easier for the customer and can bring sports betting and betting to a broader base that makes it easier, I'm all for.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, Jason, I really appreciate you doing this. And I like you already because you're a horse racing guy at heart, and I am as well. The folks at Gaming Today know that. I put out a pick every once in a while. Been a little chilly lately, but I've been known to pop a few.
Yeah, look, I think they tell me horse racing in America is not as strong as what it was 10, 20 years ago, but I'd like to think BetMGM might be in the next 12 to 18 months part of bringing it back into the mainstream and bringing the next generation back into horse racing, because as you and I know, there's nothing better.
No, it's great. And I would love for that to happen. And especially given your partnership with Yahoo as well. The reach is really big.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that's the Yahoo partnership's another one that we have to make work for us and use that reach to challenge FanDuel and DraftKings.
Well, great. Listen, best of luck on the reopenings, and welcome to the U.S. and wishing only good things for you guys.
Thanks, Howard. Anytime, give me a call.
Take care, Jason.
Thank you.